Welcome to the Ethical Affiliate, the podcast that's all about living life on your own terms through the exciting world of ethical affiliate marketing. I'm your host, Ida.
And I'm Tim.
And in each episode, we'll be exploring the possibilities, strategies, and mindset shifts that can empower you to build a business that aligns with your values and allows you to design the life you've always dreamed of.
Join us as we share our journey and hear from industry experts and successful affiliate marketers who have embraced this new approach to business. Discover the strategies they use to navigate the ever-evolving digital landscape, build sustainable income streams, and most importantly, live life on their own terms.
So buckle up and get ready for a journey into the world of ethical affiliate marketing. This is the Ethical Affiliate, where we believe that living life on your own terms is not just a dream, it's a reality waiting to be created. Thanks for joining us, and let's dive in.
Welcome to the Ethical Affiliate Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm Ida, and welcome to a stinking hot Sunday. Well, at least that's when we're doing this. It is so bloody hot today. I can't believe it. I went outside to hang my clothes and it was like a bloody oven. How are you, Tim?
I'm really well, but I have heard from the East Coast that it was something like 62% humidity where the person I was talking to. So,
oh, right. You know, funnily enough, the humidity, there's no humidity, but the sun is hot. It burns. Like I was out there just hanging some sheets and I could hear my skin sizzling. It's really full on. Really? Go away, summer. Either that or provide me with a pool.
Don't put any oil on. Right. Yeah, it's pretty hot here today too. So it's been hot for the last couple of days. But
how's your week been? Okay. What you been up to?
It's been a good week. It's been a good week.
Great.
I've been busy at work off and on.
Mm-hmm.
So in the heat, that's taken a little bit out of me. But then I've sort of fired up after I've come back. And what I usually do is do a little bit of cooking to sort of break the day up.
Love it.
Then I'll get on to the business at hand, basically, do some posting or just plan going forward or chat with you about our mutual plans together.
Yes.
So, and that's going really well. So I'm really pleased about progress with everything.
Awesome. Give me a high for the week. Give me, what was the best thing that happened this week for you?
Yeah, gee, that's a hard one.
That many?
Yeah, no, but I'd probably best to give you an overall summary, and that the high thing was the, how do I say this? An amazing vision for the future.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
So, and the power of that is that you're driven towards creating this future that you're visioning.
Absolutely.
You know, everything revolves around sort of, okay, what do I do to get that thing to come forward in the future or to make that thing occur? And so without getting up or, you know, whatever it is at the time of the day and going, oh, what am I going to write about? What am I going to talk about? How do I grow my business? It's kind of like, well, what steps do I need to do to take me to that particular thing? And
right.
It's just and we talked about vision boards in a previous podcast, I think briefly, that the power of having that vision of the visuals in front of you is phenomenal. And I have the board in front of me every day, and you know, just wherever you're walking in the house or whatever it happens to be, just have a glance at that, have a glance at pictures, and go, oh yeah, that's, you know, and it brings up feelings, and that just it really encourages me to do work all the time, which I love, because it's just
so good.
It's just an enjoyable experience.
You know, I have to agree, like, in terms of it being enjoyable, when you find someone that you can collaborate with, it makes for me, it's made a huge difference, and it keeps me accountable, and I have such big visions, and it's really, really great to work with someone who shares those visions. So yeah, give me one of your challenges. Give me a challenge. Have you had any this week?
Yeah, look, I did, I may have mentioned this, but I had a goal to do 365 reels this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I broke that up into basically some sort of video component every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it mightn't necessarily be a reel. It could be a story, anything that's done on video. It could just be a video on a post.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets a bit confusing in a way because stories and reels are basically the same thing. They just have a different lifespan.
Yes,
So
true.
that has been a challenge. Part of that's to do with having a what is it, two jobs, sort of, so to speak, not two jobs so much, so two major things that I have to focus on during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting trying to work through energy levels with that, particularly as it's hot. It's hot. I'm in Western Australia and you're on the other side, but it's
Mm.
really hot over here. And so to come back out of a very hot environment and then to get inspired and do a reel, not only you don't look the best because you're perspiring and everything's dirty, so to speak, but it's just like, oh, I just don't feel like doing this now. I'm not in the mood. It's hard enough as it is going, what are people going to think of me? And then, of course, the other side of it is, which is not quite so hard, is the content side of it. Because
Yeah.
while I've got a massive list of things I want to talk about, sometimes I scroll through all that and go, no, none of that does. Like I've got 200 sort of headings. None of it
Mm.
really does anything for me. So,
Right.
so that's, it doesn't sound like a big challenge, but it is a challenge if you let it go too long. So I'm kind of catching up because I do want to complete this by the end of the year. And so if I have to do
Sure.
3 a day for a couple of days or whatever it happens to be, how much behind.
Mm.
However, the person who's sort of sponsoring me in this business, or in our upline, so to speak, has said she's really impressed that I've done the reels I've been doing. So that's always good to hear. And, so after that, I went out and did another reel.
Awesome. Look, one of the things I really love, absolutely love about working in this business paradigm is the sense of community and how you can reach out to the people that introduced you to this business and how they can really help you troubleshoot. Like, and it happened yesterday, not with me, but with someone else, where they were trying to figure something out, and we all just got on the chat, and by the end of it, her problem was solved, and it was so solutions based, and everyone stepped up to help, and that's what I love about this. People are so keen to jump on board to help you get to where you want to go because it also drives them too. I love it. I love it.
So
Yeah.
so was that a challenge? Oh, that was somebody else's challenge. So what was it?
Yeah, it was.
Week?
Yeah.
What was the challenge you had this week?
Okay. So my challenge probably was more energy,
Sure.
I think, look, I have times where I think because with anxiety and depression and what I'm dealing with and how I'm moving forward with that, even though the episodes are getting shorter and fewer and farther between, it can still mess with my energy levels and my frame of mind. So I've had a little bit of that this week. But to be honest, working on this and the amount of hope that I get from this actually really pulls me out of it, and I know that if I have if I have a day where it just has to be all about self-care, I don't actually feel guilty or nervous about not doing what I think I should be doing for my business, because part of running this business is the self-care aspect of it. So it's like I give myself permission to, take it easy and rest up and get my energy levels back up and do whatever it is that I need to do to get myself back up to that high level energy. So, but my highs, oh, there've been a few, which is great. I love that. What's the date today? The 21st, right? So Monday, I had a fantastic rehearsal with my musical collaborator, and we went through some material, and it was so great just to get back in the saddle and sing again and kind of open everything up and get my voice out there, because that really was my life for a very, very long time. And when I gave it up, it was really difficult. I kind of felt that a part of me had been missing, but for whatever reason, I wasn't able to connect to it the same way. But now that I've made different choices and prioritized things differently, and, I've actually chosen to step into a business that's going to support me and my passions and my visions, it's allowed me that space to work my way back to it. And I'm so fortunate because I'm working with a really, really great musician. And again, he's right on board with my vision of what I want to put together. So that was really exciting. And I saw my grandson. I got to spend some time with my grandbaby, and that's always fun and games. It was beautiful. So two really big things. And also the collaboration that happens that we do in our creating the vision for the future, that always lights me up. So yeah, lots of highs. Really good.
It's funny you're talking about the giving yourself space and time just for yourself. And it's in a similar way. I was thinking yesterday, I think it was, or it might have been this morning, that I've got to do these posts and these reels and everything else like that, and I feel like I'm behind. And then I thought, in the last 3 or 4 days, I've spent hours talking to you, planning business going forward.
We're developing
stuff. And I'm thinking, Tim, you've put so much effort into this business. Both of us have, but we're just talking about me at the moment. You put so much effort in this business, but it's so easy to forget what you've been doing.
Well, that's right. And it kind of goes back to reminding yourself that you're in development phase. Like with any business, it takes time to set things up. And I mean, this is a business where you can hit the ground running, no problem. But for some, I personally like to take my time, and I want to really get clear on what I want to do as I'm running my business. And because I'm a first-time business owner, it's easy to forget, because you might not be seeing the results you want to see, but the progress is really happening, and this is a time, and I'll never forget, like, something that I learned in one of the huddles was that,
For people who don't know, explain what a huddle is.
Yes. So a huddle, well, actually, to be honest, the past huddles that I've been in, I've hated, because, it just it wasn't really about me. It was about the company and the corporation. But this is different. I say it's a huddle, and they call it the Monday night huddle, but it's actually where everybody in this business paradigm, in this that affiliates with this particular product that we're affiliated with, gets together, and we share stories, and there's always a speaker that comes out. And I heard something in the huddle where a speaker was talking about to get rid of the timeline out of your mind, right? Yeah, you set your goals, but don't get caught up in the timeline, because in this business, things can sort of move slowly, and then bang, it just happens in a flash, and suddenly your business takes off. So, I really kind of resonated with that, because this is the time really to prepare, especially to prepare for financial wealth, right? Because the potential to make money is huge. It's really huge. And I want to be ready for that, right? So whenever I think I'm not making progress, all I need to do is look back on what I'm doing with yourself, and how I'm approaching my business, the learning that I'm putting into it, and how it's really important for me to use this time to prepare for the success, right? Because people don't prepare for success. We often prepare for failure, right? But you got to prepare for success, because when success hits, you need to be ready for it. Because if you're not ready for it and it hits you, the ground can go out from under you if you don't handle it right. So I'm in this for the long haul. When the success, and I actually believe I'm already successful because I show up every day for this, right? And I move it forward. But when the financial reward comes through, I want to be ready. I want to go, yep, this is I'm ready for this now. And I want to I'm planning what I want to do with it. And that's actually the fun part as well, is planning how you're going to spend that money. How you're going to put that money to use. And that's where I love to stay, in that creation phase. So, yeah.
That's a beautiful segue into our topic today, which is really about personal accountability.
Absolutely.
What you're saying there is take some accountability for the success you're going to have going forward.
Yes.
And know that you can't just go there and someone will come and save you because you don't know anything about finances or you don't understand systems and everything just runs away from you or whatever it happens to be. So talk about that. Talk about your view of personal accountability.
Okay. So personal accountability, not so long ago, before I actually embarked on this journey, I used to think personal accountability was taking the blame and coming from a shame part, coming from a shame aspect. That's completely changed. Being personally accountable for me now means actually taking responsibility for the things that I need to do, and also not taking responsibility for what isn't mine. So it's working out what's mine and what's not, especially when you're dealing in everyday life and you don't have control over everything. And sometimes with personal accountability, if you don't view it in a constructive way, you're just going to spend the time blaming yourself for everything that's going wrong and you don't know how to fix it. Right? Now, it's not just about taking responsibility and aligned action. It's actually about knowing when to personally show up for yourself, right? Where you actually need to show up as your own best friend, as your own carer, as your own cheerleader. That is a very, very important part of being personally accountable. Because people can tell you till you're black and blue how great you are, but unless you tell yourself, the message is going to fall on deaf ears and your power is always going to be in somebody else's hands. So, personal accountability is about taking responsibility, taking back your power and being your own best friend. Yeah.
So there's a part of there which is, I totally get where you're coming from, and that is that if you are only, and I emphasize only, waiting for someone else or bunch of people to cheer you on to some extent or to say you're doing well or comment, and that's what you're relying on, you're going to fail because there's still a part of you which is not taking accountability, responsibility for your own actions.
Ownership, yeah.
I've always said the ideal way sometimes is to, if you're dealing with narcissism or something like this, to retreat into yourself and become strong and become responsible and accountable for your own actions and strong enough so you can go back out in the world again and deal with things like that, because it doesn't actually matter what people say. It's lovely if they do and lovely if people support you, but you don't need it because you have taken the ultimate responsibility for yourself and your own actions.
When you say narcissism, do you mean like as in somebody else dealing, like someone else being a narcissist?
Narcissist or someone who puts you down or if you can't deal with that, and it's very hard to deal with anyway, you need to not try and fight it, but to come back and make sure that those things don't trigger you as much.
Yeah, put it in its place. You got to put it in its place.
Or whatever it is that the problem is.
Yeah, and look, often, and that can get really tricky too, especially when you're dealing with narcissism. That can be really insidious and it's not something that is always recognizable and in your face. So to establish that really strong sense of self is paramount to actually just moving forward in the world in general. And once you take the need for somebody else's approval away and you start working on approval of yourself, I don't think there's anything more powerful than that, really, And it's kind of, look at a narcissist as a perfect example. They think they're almighty, right? A narcissist has that kind of confidence. They just use it in a really negative way. But to have a sense of self and to actually be in a space that comes from love and compassion for yourself, that's how you pay it forward to others. And you don't actually require people to feed that ego, because it really is, it's ego that we want stroked, and that's not to say that we all crave connection. I think as humans, we need connection, right? But we need quality connection. And it's just, if you don't have that sense of self, you can get connection in ways that can be really damaging. So yeah, it's quite a landscape to navigate, but as long as you stay focused on being kind to yourself and knowing when to take responsibility and aligned action, yeah, that's really the main.
It's a very fine line, or maybe that's not quite the right way of saying it, but the way we tend to view people is that view confident people, we can get into this trick of viewing confident people as being egotistical. And there's a soft line where it changes from someone who is very confident and who can again step over maybe towards narcissism, because I guess it's a scale to some extent where you've stepped into the part where your ego is now taken over.
Yeah, so interesting.
I think many of us are not anywhere near the point where we're just totally self-confident. We've got a long way to go. Well, speaking.
Look, it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey of evolution. This is life.
Yeah.
People, like, it is a journey of evolution, and what we see in others, right, and what we perceive their life to be is really just the surface. We don't see what's going on in their world. We don't see the work that they do behind their success, and we just got to take the judgment out right? We've got to stop judging ourselves and actually support ourselves in our vision, but also know when to go, okay, you've been wallowing, you need to get off your butt and you need to do something, because otherwise you're just going to end up wrapping yourself in cotton wool and never leaving your safe space. We need to step out of our comfort zone, and we've got to remind ourselves too, and this is something that I constantly remind myself, whenever I feel overwhelmed or, I kind of get that anxiety, I center myself by reminding myself that change is like shedding skin. It's not always comfortable, but it's okay because I'm in control of the choices that I'm making and the changes that I'm making, right? And I just need to be kind to myself to navigate myself through those difficult times, right? And look, the key thing too, Tim, and I cannot stress this enough, and I say this to anyone out there that is really struggling with their mental health, with depression, anxiety. When you are in that dark place, and I don't know if I said this last time, but if I did, you're going to hear it again. When you're in that dark place, it is crucial to remind yourself that you're going to get past it, right? And all you need to do is really just hold on and have faith that you'll get to the other side, because it does pass. As long as you keep looking forward and acknowledging that shadow that you're under at the moment, you'll get past it. You will, because it's the nature of life. Life is not a straight line, like we said in our very first podcast. It's full of bends and twists and highs and lows, and we just got to ride it. We just need to have a really good surfboard so that when those big ass waves come along, we can ride it and get to the end and go, damn, I made it through, And another thing too, and this is not, it's equally as important, because as someone who's dealt with depression for, decades, my whole life, quite often in the past when I've come out of it and I've felt great, I've gone, yeah, I don't have to worry about anything, feeling great. Didn't take any aligned action, right? It is just as crucial to show up for yourself when you're feeling good than what it is when you're feeling bad. So they're equal. You just got to show up in different ways. So it's no different. The only difference is how you show up for yourself. So it's really important. Know when to rest, know when to really up the self-care. There needs to be it's important that there's a baseline of self-care. And that is something that, I don't know about anyone else, but that is something that I continually work on, is that baseline. And then when the lows come, you just got to ramp it up. Remind yourself that now is the time to actually really take care of yourself, and remind yourself that you're going to get through it. And then when you get through it and you're feeling great, that's when you can congratulate yourself and take that aligned action that you need to take, because that's what's going to propel you forward.
And it's so true, because it's not just about your mental health, it's about anything you do, especially
absolutely
talking about business, is that to know that you're going to get through it. Isn't it so true? Because otherwise it's very easy to go, oh, I can't do this. I don't understand how Canva works. I don't understand how videos work. I don't understand marketing, advertising, the whole thing about business.
Yeah.
Know that, you know what? I've just got to gather resources, take some accountability. I'm responsibility for learning. That could include getting someone to teach you how to do stuff. That is right. And you look back on it, and it's like public speaking and many other things like that. You just look back and go, I just kept on learning, kept on moving forward. Yeah, retreat a little bit and, gather your forces, honor yourself. And I love it how you're talking about your own level of self-care, and what does that mean for us individually? Some people, it could just mean having an extra sleep, and some people could mean the whole thing, meditation, retreats, massages, everything else. So I'd like to think that we can move more towards having that level of self-care where you're getting all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. And I guess it's oh God, I love what we do. Far out. I can't express enough how much I love it, because in this space, it's so doable. It's so doable, and you can get to a point where you can make it really accessible to people that may not have had access to it before, and it's teaching people a new way to take care of themselves, to slowly chip away at those walls that like to keep us nice and safe in our little, prison, and be brave and, take on a new challenge, whether it's business, whether it's, changing within yourself. It's really all about evolution. And I never ever thought that I would be in a position where my work would actually involve doing that for myself as a way of moving forward in business. Like, unless I do that for myself, my business is not going to thrive, right? So I have to do that, because that's what I want to help other people do,
So taking care of yourself includes growing your business, if that's what you want to do.
Absolutely. Well, it's paramount to growing my business. It's paramount, because if I'm not taking care of myself, right, how can I actually grow my business in a way that is authentic and ethical, and how can I pay it forward? You can't pay. I've lived with an empty cup my entire life, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work, right? The only way to help others is to help yourself, right? And I know that is a cliche that people say all the time, but man, when you get it with your heart and not just your head, it takes you to a new level of thinking. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you carry yourself, the way you move through your challenges. And, if anybody's out there listening, and if you're at that point where you're struggling with your business and you're showing up and you're doing all the right things, have patience, have patience. Put it out there in your mind that you're seeking answers, because the world responds, the universe responds. And I'll give you an example, right? There was a woman that's involved in our organization that put up a post talking about aligned action. And it's like, aligned action is actually about taking steps to move yourself forward, right? It's one thing to, take care of yourself is really important, but part of that is actually taking aligned action. So what are you doing to close that gap between where you are and where you want to be, right? And it doesn't matter. Aligned action looks different on any given day. Like, referring back to what we were talking about earlier, aligned action could mean actually resting for the day, right? Because you're so tired, because you've been on fire and you've been working your stuff, and, you've been taking care of your family, running your business, figuring it all out. Aligned action can actually mean, you know what, today's going to be about me taking it easy and doing nothing. That's aligned action. It's taking care of your nervous system, taking care of your physical body, and you need to remember that, people out there who are freaking out, don't freak out. Have faith in yourself. You embarked on this journey for a reason, right? Don't lose sight of that reason, and don't lose sight of who you are and your capabilities, right? Because we are We have infinite potential. We have infinite potential. Our mind is this incredible tool, right? And it's ever evolving, and we never stop learning, and sure, when we stretch ourselves, it can be uncomfortable, painful. Sometimes we have to make decisions that we don't want to make, right? But it's got to come from a place that moves us forward, and in order to know that place, and you've got to know yourself. You've got to know what your gut is saying, what your head is saying. And if you don't know yourself, your gut feeling is not going to get a look in, because it's going to be buried with everything else, so it's learning to slowly clear the clutter. Some of us don't have cluttered brains and we move through really quickly, and that's wonderful. That is great. Some of us are not like that. I am not like that, right? I am someone that has to, on a daily basis, declutter my brain. And some days it's really freaking intense. I'm not going to lie. Some days it's fucking hard. But the difference between now and then is my determination to see it through to the other side, because people that have gone before me have done the same, right? And I've actually done the same throughout my life. I got this far on very little. I got this far in life, right, running on empty. So imagine what I can get through and what I can achieve when I'm actually filling my tank and I'm not waiting for somebody else to do it. I'm autonomous. I take care of myself. I make sure that I meet my own needs. And that's the best thing we can do for ourselves. And that's what we need to teach our kids to do, to know themselves. And, it's a journey, Tim. It's a journey, and it's an evolutionary journey, so.
The very concept of aligned action is that you've got to be aligned with something like your values, yourself.
Absolutely.
To actually make sure that, as they say sometimes, is what I'm doing now taking me to where I want to go?
Exactly.
Whatever that is. And how do you know what that is unless you've done some work?
That's right.
And talk to that point, like what sort of work have you done? And I can certainly talk about the work I've done towards knowing yourself better, so that you know that when you have a conversation even with someone, or you do a post, or you go out and you have a swim or something like that, it's aligned with where you want to go. Because otherwise, as you say, you're just flailing around, probably copying what everybody else is doing to some extent, totally clueless about who you really are. And that's a lot of work. And I'm not saying it's a lot of work. It's hard. Yes, it is hard work. But
it's challenging. It's challenging work, but it's a challenge you want to take on.
It's enjoyable. Yeah, it is. And it's enjoyable work because of the sense of satisfaction of getting to a point and achieving milestones as you're going along, understanding who you really are. And everything becomes clearer and brighter in a way, because you now know, if I go down that road, I might have to change and go down a slightly different path. But at least in general, I know who I am. I know what's important to me. And this is why we have the ethical affiliate podcast in the first place, is that's what ethical means. It's about being true to your own values.
That's exactly right. And I just want to go back to the word autonomy. I said I'm autonomous. Being autonomous, I need to make this really clear. Being autonomous does not mean you do not ask for help when you need it, right? Quite the opposite. Being autonomous is knowing when to ask for help, right? So when you've done everything you can do and you just kind of hit a wall where you go, you know what, I'm actually a little bit lost. Part of being autonomous is knowing when to take care of those needs by reaching out. Yep. Reaching out is taking care of your needs. And it's so easy to lose sight of that. It's so easy to misconstrue these words that mean standing on your own 2 feet. But standing on your own 2 feet does not mean you can't depend on others or ask for help. You just need to get to know yourself enough to know what you need so you can get those needs met. No one person can fulfill everything in themselves, right? As humans, we are designed to connect, right? And often when we don't connect, it's because, trauma, or, we're operating from a place of fear. So true autonomy is having a really strong sense of self and being okay with letting your guard down and asking for help and knowing when to do that and who to do that with. Now, all of those things, that's a lot for a person to take on if they're not used to it. So, guys, if you're out there and you're in that space, give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to wrap your head around this new way of thinking, right? Because it's a lot. It is a lot to wrap your head around, right? And be kind to yourself and, kind of know when to take that aligned action. Because really, it's part of taking care of it's essential to taking care of yourself. Whatever that may be on any given day.
It's interesting because I'm probably going to butcher this completely, but I think it's the third law of cybernetics, which is about robotics and things like that, states that the device with the most flexibility will win. So, and we're talking about autonomous devices like cars, but also back in the day, or still now, self-motivating vacuum cleaning devices around the house.
I'm so buying one of those.
What we're saying, what it says is that the device mechanically that can be flexible and adjust, and to your question, it can't, but ask questions, but it works out the environment and goes, okay, I can't keep banging into the wall. I'll take a different route to get.
What a great analogy.
And of course, this is what modern car or autonomous cars do. They don't, they've got, I can't remember how much it is, 127 cameras mounted on them so that they can sense the environment and make changes according to the environment. So autonomy doesn't mean stuck robotic doing the same thing. It means having that flexibility to ask questions of friends and community.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
make adjustments and keep going. So
yeah.
How can one be totally autonomous in a world of 9 billion people? You can't.
Well, look, again, to be totally autonomous means to know yourself, to know how to take care of yourself, to know how to meet your own needs and get your needs met. Like that to me is true autonomy.
The time to ask and the time not to ask and the time to reflect.
Well, it's a time to act. Exactly. All of that stuff. Yeah. All of that stuff. So, yeah, if you are out there listening, do not give up. Do yourself that favor. Take care of your heart, take care of your mind, and take care of your body, and everything will work out the way you want it to.
And that's perfect timing because we're talking about not giving up, because don't give up now, because Ida's about to tell us about what she's been reading or looking at or viewing.
I have started a book. I just finished... Oh, gosh, I go through so many books. I just finished Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life, and Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass at Making Money. And now I'm reading a book with the title Unfuck Your Brain.
Right.
Now, I was so taken by that title because in the past, and look, really still today, if I'm being totally honest, sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and I'll go, oh my God, why? My brain is so fucked. What is going on? Yeah. And so I immediately connected with this. So what that book does, it actually goes into the science of how your brain works, and it gives you some really handy tips on how to respond to those triggers. And it's just a really great book. It's Unfuck Your Brain, and it's by Faith G. Harper, and she's got a PhD and she's got like 1 million letters after her name, but it's a fantastic listen. I love it. I go from bursting out laughing to going, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So I'm getting so much out of it. I cannot recommend, we need to get Audible to sponsor this bloody podcast because actually Audible is my new best friend. Absolutely love that.
How do you find, slightly change of subject, but not really, how do you find listening versus reading?
I much prefer it because reading makes me sleepy.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. And I have this weird thing with reading. I only enjoy reading trashy period romance novels. Like
right. So that's reserved for reading? And
that is reserved for hard books. But the intellectual stuff I like to listen to it because it just sits with me better. It just sits with me better. And plus I can multitask. right? When I'm listening to something, I can actually make use of my time while I'm doing my housework. I can do my audio listening and,
Right.
so, and often like I will listen to books over and over again because for me, it just takes several goes for things to sink in. And I get different things each time I listen. So different things stick in my mind. And oh my God, the way it is propelling me forward is unbelievable. It's just amazing. What about you? What are you reading?
So that's the ultimate test, isn't it? The way it's propelling you forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I can't say I've been caught off guard because I have been reading. It's more of a very long article actually by a guy called Morton Tolbell, which nobody would have heard of at all, because he still writes on an old system called Blogspot, which is an ancient blogging.
Oh my gosh.
That's kind of, well, you've heard of that. There you go. So he's kind of an unknown author, but he's a deep philosopher. And for some reason, and I haven't even got him bookmarked, I came across him again the other day. And it's very hard to explain this. And I've read this article about 3 or 4 times, and I'm in preparation for our podcast and thinking, I don't even know if I can even explain this. But anyway, he's writing about Peter Pan. And
okay, great.
I don't know what that face means, but people on video, please explain.
I'm just like, okay, I'm curious, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go. I've done a great job of doing that. He writes about Peter Pan. Okay, let me summarize. He writes about viewing life in a childlike way.
Oh.
That may explain a lot.
Oh, I love that.
The whole article, which is probably, gosh, I don't know, 26 pages, A4 pages,
wow,
is really about a whole different approach to life as opposed to viewing it rationally or viewing it in a, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Viewing it in a experimental way.
Uh-huh.
There's another way, and that is through initiative.
Great.
And in other words, I've forgotten what the word is, but it's like living from the heart, in effect.
Okay,
And
beautiful.
so, he gives up these examples of a famous French aviator whose books I've read, who talked about, I mean, he flew at night across Africa and he talked about the stars and it was all about living from a point of view of wonder. And
oh, I love that.
you've got to use your rational mind to, fly an aircraft, for example, but it also he's talking about the stars and the heavens, and this guy was a little bit religious, but the wonder of Christmas and viewing everything as a child, not childish, but childlike. And so everything you come across, and of course, going back to initiative, this is going back to intuition. Children live from that what we call intuition, but it's really just a spontaneous living in the now, which is kind of what intuition is. It's a sensing of something and just reacting to it without all the layering. So and when I went for a walk before, I was trying to engage in this exercise of just going, not viewing myself as separate from everything, but just part of the entire environment, part of the trees and part of the grass and the dog and everything. We're all one thing. And so it was just living in that mode of not going, oh, that's a tree, it's a gum tree, and there's a crow, and it's a black crow. It was just trying to, and I tell you what, it's a challenge because
of course,
decades of learning and training is especially in our Western system is to analyze everything and box it and isolate and make everything separate. And so the goal is to start viewing things as a sensing and going forward. So I hope that's explained a little bit. It's more of a concept than what this article is about.
I would love for you to send me that article, and actually we'll put it in our show notes and on our page. Which actually, what we will do for all our listeners, when you go to the Ethical Affiliate Facebook page, don't forget to like and follow. Everything that we read and any reference material will be listed there. And look, whilst we're on the topic of our Facebook page, please reach out, ask us questions. We're here to interact. We want dialogue with you guys, and we want to know how we can help you and what we can do to move you forward in your life and maybe shed some light on a business paradigm that is going to absolutely explode over the next 5 years. So if anyone actually wants to know what Tim and myself do, you can reach out to us either through the Ethical Affiliate page, or you can go to our Facebook pages. Mine is Ida Travato at Facebook. I don't know what the web pages. Just go in and type my name, because I don't think there's very many of me, but just look for the girl with the white hair and red lipstick. That'll be me. And Tim Gregg, who is also on Facebook as well. And hit us up, ask us questions, ask us what we do. And I'll point out that the reason we don't talk about our specific product on this podcast is because what we're doing here is we're giving an impartial view, and we're shedding light on being an ethical affiliate. We're not here to push our own product. We're not here to grow our business. What we actually are here to do is help you and educate you and make you aware that there is an amazing new business paradigm that is flourishing, that gives you back your autonomy, your control, your ability to work your life around you and not live around your work. So, yeah. On that note.
Fabulous. I don't see any more questions unless you have one.
No, I don't have any questions, but I'm so glad that we do this. I look forward to this every week. Thank you, Tim. You're an absolute legend. Cannot wait for our next episode. We've got some guests that we're going to be speaking to over the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for that. We'll be mentioning it on our Ethical Affiliates page. And so we really hope to catch you next time. Tim, do you have any parting words?
No, the only parting words was in reply to your questions that I think we were talking about. Maybe if we get enough questions, we'll do an entire podcast on questions.
Absolutely. And we want to do a Q&A. Yeah.
And as you said, we've got some guests lined up, even more lined up, which is wonderful. So we all look forward to that, and we look forward to speaking and seeing you guys next week.
Awesome. Have a great week, everybody.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.